Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up for a journey you won't soon forget. In the bustling halls of New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport, where the roar of jet engines mingles with the hum of hurried travelers, an unexpected showdown unfolds in a VIP lounge. A wealthy businessman, blinded by arrogance, takes out his frustration on a dedicated black maid, only to discover she holds far more power than he could ever imagine. This is a story of prejudice, hidden identities, and a breathtaking reversal of fate. Stay tuned, because what happens next will leave you questioning every assumption you've ever made. John F. Kennedy. International Airport at 8:00 a.m. is a world unto itself, a chaotic realm where time seems to bend. People from every corner of the globe flood its terminals, each with a unique agenda. Family reunions, business conferences, dream vacations. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee drifts through the corridors, mingling with the antiseptic smell of floors polished through the night. Charles Harrington, a tall, well-groomed businessman in his early 40s, strides through Terminal 4 with an air of visible impatience. He's impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit, a tie in a subdued shade of burgundy, and polished black shoes that click decisively on the marble floors. Under his arm, he carries a leather briefcase with the logo of a high-profile mergers and acquisitions firm. He's en route to Dubai for a negotiation that he has spent months orchestrating. Outside, planes roar to the runway, their engines a thunderous drumbeat. Inside, Charles scans the crowd with hawkish eyes, checking for potential delays or anything that might hamper his swift progress. Once inside the terminal, he flashes his platinum elite status to an attendant, not bothering to mask the smug expression that crosses his face. He's used to special treatment. After all, success is his birthright, or so he believes. Amid the swirl of bodies, a woman wearing a neatly pressed uniform pushes a cleaning cart. Ebony Johnson, though her name tag simply says Ebony. Written in plain white lettering on black plastic, discreetly edges the cart around impatient travelers. Ebony is in her early 30s, with deep brown skin, high cheekbones, and kind eyes that reflect a quiet, powerful confidence. She wears a standard black polo embroidered with the logo of Maravilla Lounge and black slacks that brush softly against her sturdy work shoes. No one pays her much mind, but Ebony notices everything and everyone. It's a world of contrasts. Ebony's life is less glamorous by the public's superficial standards. She's pushing a cleaning cart, but she does so with an unmistakable grace. Meanwhile, Charles sails through with an ego that enters the room before he does. Two contrasting orbits, destined to collide in the strangest of circumstances. Charles moves swiftly, crossing the threshold into the exclusive Maravilla VIP Lounge, known for its plush leather seats, subdued lighting, and a complimentary buffet. Rarely does he look left or right, especially not at those he deems to be in service roles. He's come to expect the best, from the cappuccino at the coffee bar to the courtesy of the staff. Ebony discreetly follows at a distance, her cleaning cart squeaking faintly. She knows a few staff members stationed at the lounge. She usually checks in on them, ensures supplies are adequately stocked, and sometimes quietly helps if there's a rush. On the surface, Ebony is just another staff member on duty, but everything is about to change once Charles Harrington becomes part of her day. Charles steps into the plush domain of the Maravilla Lounge and immediately frowns. The day has been an endless chain of frustrations. First, his Uber driver took a wrong exit, causing Charles to miss an earlier opportunity to check in. Then the baggage handler gave him a curt nod instead of a friendly greeting. In Charles's world, these minor irritations feel like colossal disrespect. He sets his briefcase on a nearby table with a flourish as though slamming it would be beneath him. Yet he wants to make a point. A lounge attendant named Haruto approaches, bowing slightly. "Good morning, Mr. Harrington. May I assist you with anything?" Charles looks Haruto up and down. "Green tea, unsweetened, no lemon, piping hot," he orders, just shy of snapping his fingers. "And don't take too long." Haruto nods politely, used to dealing with difficult personalities. "Certainly, Mr. Harrington. Please make yourself comfortable." He hurries off to prepare the drink, a polite smile plastered on his face. Meanwhile, Ebony wheels her cart along the lounge's perimeter, checking for trash or misplaced items. She stops at a corner to wipe a coffee stain off an end table. Her hands move quickly, efficiently. Her eyes, however, remain observant, flicking toward Charles as he settles himself into a plush armchair. All around the lounge, travelers leaf through newspapers, scroll onto phones, or doze quietly with headphones. Glass partitions shield them from the general terminal commotion, offering a bubble of calm. Ebony methodically continues her cleaning route. She's halfway across the lounge when another staff member, Alicia, intercepts her. "Morning, Ebony," Alicia says, offering a quick hug. "I didn't know you were doing rounds this early." Ebony nods. "I wanted to check on supplies, make sure everything's ready for the morning rush." Alicia smiles appreciatively. She's one of the few employees who knows Ebony beyond the name tag, aware there's more than meets the eye. But Ebony insists on keeping her identity discreet during these visits. It's become a routine she blends in as part of her leadership style, wanting to personally experience what her employees face daily. From the corner of his eye, Charles notices the mild camaraderie between Ebony and Alicia. He mentally dismisses it as idle chatter among staff, but he's also waiting impatiently for his tea, which is taking a bit longer than expected, because Haruto is particular about temperature and freshness. Ebony continues her rounds, concluding with a final sweep near Charles's table. She's mindful not to disturb him, but notices a few crumbs scattered on the floor, possibly from the pastry the previous occupant had. Kneeling Ebony starts sweeping them up with a small dustpan and brush, trying to be as unobtrusive as possible. Charles shifts in his seat, glancing at the time on his Rolex. Haruto finally arrives with the tea, setting it carefully on the side table. Before Haruto can step away, Charles snaps. "I asked for unsweetened, no lemon." Haruto remains calm. "Yes, sir, it's unsweetened. There's no lemon." Charles lifts the cup to his nose, inhaling as if he's a tea sommelier. "It smells too strong," he grumbles, but he doesn't explicitly ask for a replacement. Haruto, ever patient, offers a quick bow, then turns to continue helping other guests. That's when Ebony's dustpan scrapes against the floor, causing a slight squeak. To Charles, it feels like nails on a chalkboard. He swivels to glare at her, spots her uniform, and his impatience boils over. "What in the world are you doing?" he hisses, voice low but scathing. "Can't you see I'm sitting here trying to relax?" "You're making an awful racket." Ebony, still kneeling, looks up quietly. "I apologize, sir. I'll be done in just a moment." He flicks his wrist dismissively. "Well, hurry it up. Do you people have to be so noisy?" The phrase "you people" doesn't go unnoticed by Ebony or by Alicia, who is tidying a nearby snack station and overhearing everything. Ebony calmly finishes gathering the crumbs, her expression non-confrontational, but there's a quiet storm in her eyes. She chooses not to respond with anger, standing gracefully, dustpan in hand. Charles, evidently in a foul mood, mutters something under his breath. As Ebony begins to push her cart away, he calls after her, "Try cleaning up when there aren't customers around." He doesn't spare a second look at her, returning his gaze to the phone in his hand. Ebony exhales, controlling her emotions. She's dealt with all manner of unpleasantness, but there's something about Charles's tone, its entitlement and prejudice that makes this different. Alicia catches Ebony's eye from across the lounge, giving her a silent, "Are you okay?" look. Ebony offers a small nod, letting Alicia know she's fine. At least for now. Little does Charles realize his words have consequences far beyond that fleeting moment of rudeness. The day has barely begun, and tension hangs in the lounge air like a thick cloud. A storm of events is about to be unleashed, one that no amount of arrogance or status can shield Charles from. The morning inches forward. More travelers arrive, and the lounge becomes an exclusive retreat from the bustling crowds outside. Charles tries to lose himself in documents related to his upcoming business deal in Dubai. However, his simmering annoyance at Ebony's presence lingers. He notices her occasionally from the corner of his eye as she circulates to empty trash cans or discreetly straighten chairs. He doesn't realize that she is observing him too, though not out of personal curiosity, but from a place of guarded caution. The lounge staff is on high alert. They've all witnessed or heard about Charles's initial outburst. Alicia especially keeps a close eye on Ebony. There's an unspoken camaraderie among employees. They look out for each other, offering moral support when one of them is mistreated by an irate customer. Alicia knows Ebony well enough to sense the tension pulsing beneath her calm exterior. Meanwhile, Ebony finishes her last station check, retrieving an extra supply of seat wipes from a storage closet. The door to the closet is discreetly marked "Staff Only." And inside, Ebony also keeps a small stash of business documents locked away in a private cabinet. Her phone buzzes a notification from her executive assistant. She reads it. "Meeting with the London expansion team, rescheduled to next week. Awaiting your confirmation." Ebony types a quick response, confirming her availability, and takes a deep breath. Outside the closet, Charles is pacing near the buffet, frustrated that his phone's signal is spotty. He has an important call to make, but can't find a quiet area away from staff. He sees Ebony step out of the closet, phone in hand, and something about her subdued confidence gnaws at him. To Charles, she's a puzzle. A cleaning lady shouldn't exude such quiet composure, at least not in his narrow worldview. A second wave of travelers enters the lounge as flights arrive from various domestic cities. Among them is a middle-aged couple carrying matching monogrammed luggage. Another is a group of business partners chatting about quarterly earnings. The lounge is busier now, and Ebony circulates, ensuring the place remains pristine. The friction escalates when Charles, mid-phone call, overhears Ebony exchanging polite words with a well-dressed passenger who nearly spills coffee. The passenger thanks Ebony profusely for her help. Charles's eyes narrow, as if Ebony's simple act of service is an affront to his space. He glances around, fuming inwardly. Though he's not outright shouting, his tension is palpable. Haruto gently approaches Charles with a tray of fresh pastries. "Would you care for a complimentary croissant or muffin?" "Mr. Harrington?" Charles waves him off. "No, I'm fine," he snaps. Then he gestures rudely at Ebony, who is now sweeping a corner of the lounge. "But can you get someone to do that at a different time? It's not exactly conducive to a VIP experience to hear sweeping and wiping while I'm trying to conduct business." Haruto's posture stiffens. He's professionally bound to remain polite. "We do need to maintain cleanliness, sir. However, I'll speak with our cleaning staff about possibly timing it differently." Charles smirks, apparently satisfied. Ebony overhears the exchange but doesn't let on. She finishes her corner and heads toward the staff exit for a short break. Once in the hallway, she finally allows herself a moment of exasperated silence. She's worked hard to build the Maravilla Lounge brand into a place of dignity for travelers and staff alike, only to witness someone like Charles treat her employees and herself with blatant disrespect. In the staff break room, Ebony sits at a small round table. Alicia quietly follows her in. "Are you okay?" Alicia asks, concern knitting her brows together. Ebony nods. "I'm fine. Just a little riled up. I'm sorry you had to deal with that." Alicia sighs. "He's the worst we've had in a long time. People can be rude, but he's something else." Ebony drapes one arm over the back of her chair, appearing nonchalant. Yet her voice trembles with controlled irritation. "We can handle rude, but he's crossing lines. Words like, 'you people,' carry a certain kind of venom, you know." Alicia places a comforting hand on Ebony's shoulder. "I do. If you want to report him, you should. But I know you like to handle things yourself." Ebony offers a thin smile. "Let me think about the best approach. Sometimes direct confrontation doesn't solve anything, but I won't let this go on unchecked." Alicia nods. "Just be careful, Ebony." Ebony takes a sip from a bottle of water she brought along. Despite the emotional toll, she reminds herself, she has the power to deal with this situation far more effectively than Charles would ever guess. She's about to prove that no matter how wealthy or important someone believes they are, respect is non-negotiable. As the morning edges toward noon, Ebony emerges from the break room, refreshed, her uniform neat. She resumes her rounds, and it's business as usual in the lounge, at least on the surface. But internally, Ebony's mind is swirling with thoughts. Her eyes dart from the travelers' seating area to Charles's chosen corner. She's considering her next move carefully. For Ebony, everything about the Maravilla Lounge is personal. A decade earlier, she had been a struggling single mother, living in a cramped apartment in the Bronx. She'd worked multiple jobs, housekeeping, cashiering, temp office work, just to keep food on the table for her baby girl. During those challenging years, Ebony saved every spare dollar. She was driven by an entrepreneurial spark that she'd nurtured ever since her high school business class. Through sheer grit and an early morning job cleaning an airport lounge, she saw a gap in the market, a chain of lounges that prioritized not just comfort for travelers, but also fair treatment and professional development for employees. With a small loan after being rejected by multiple banks, she launched the first Maravilla Lounge in a less trafficked airport terminal. Over the years, word of mouth spread about the immaculate lounges with a friendly, welcoming staff. Soon, Ebony's once small operation secured contracts in major airports around the country, including JFK. Today, Maravilla Lounge is a recognized name in the travel industry, often mentioned alongside older, more established lounge chains. Ebony quietly steers the entire enterprise. Yet Ebony chooses to remain low profile. She rarely flaunts her position. Instead, she sees value in blending in with her staff, learning firsthand what customers and employees experience. She invests in staff training, ensuring wages are fair, and encourages an inclusive atmosphere. Those who've worked with Ebony and know her story revere her for it. And she, in turn, fosters a warm, familial environment within the company. But every so often, a traveler comes along who embodies the very arrogance she fought hard to overcome in her personal journey, a traveler like Charles Harrington. Ebony stands by a tall potted palm, wiping off an already spotless table, carefully watching Charles as he paces back and forth on the phone. She overhears snippets of his conversation. No. I told them I expect the final contract by tomorrow. If they're not ready, that's their problem. I need to catch a flight in a few hours to Dubai. That's where the real money is. Don't tell me about time zones, I'm aware of them. I pay you to handle that. His every word is laced with condescension. Ebony shakes her head. She can't help but think about how many people he's likely bullied to climb whatever corporate ladder he's on. She steps away, heading to the lounge's front desk, where Alicia is helping new arrivals with their lounge access. Ebony quietly requests a word, pulling Alicia aside. "I'm going to have a conversation with him," Ebony says, in a hushed tone. Alicia's eyes widen. "Really? Are you sure?" Ebony nods. "I want to make it civil. I'm not going to reveal everything, at least not yet. But I need to let him know that the way he treats staff isn't acceptable. He's crossing professional boundaries." Alicia bites her lip. "Okay, but I'll be nearby if things get heated." Ebony offers a grateful smile. "Thank you, Alicia." Charles has ended his call and is now staring out the windows which overlook the tarmac. Ebony walks up to him, calm, measured her cleaning cart left behind. She stops a respectful distance away, gently clearing her throat. "Excuse me, sir." He turns around with a half-annoyed expression. "What is it I already told your colleague? I don't need anything." Ebony stands with her hands folded. "Yes, I understand. However, I wanted to make sure you're comfortable. We've noticed you seemed upset. If there's anything we can do." He cuts her off, his irritation intensifying. "I'm upset, as you put it, because I came here for peace and quiet. And so far I've been disturbed by constant cleaning noises, slow service and subpar staff. Don't you people know how to run a lounge properly?" Ebony holds his gaze calmly. "I'm sorry you feel that way, sir. Our team is doing their best to maintain a clean and comfortable environment." Perhaps he scoffs, checking his watch. "I don't need a lecture on what your best is. If you're finished, I'd rather you not linger." He narrows his eyes at her uniform. "Why don't you go clean something? That's what you're here for, right?" Ebony inhales, controlling the flash of anger that rises within her. She's about to respond when her phone buzzes in her pocket. She recognizes the number, the main office of Maravilla Lounge. Must be something important. With a curt nod, she steps away, resisting the urge to say more. As she moves, she senses Charles's eyes on her, radiating disdain. In a private corner, Ebony answers the call. It's her executive assistant again. "Ma'am, we just had a slight scheduling issue. The meeting you wanted with the new shareholders is also getting moved. Should we confirm your availability for next Thursday?" Ebony keeps her voice low. "Yes, that's perfect. Thank you." Hanging up, she stands for a moment, letting the adrenaline in her system settle. There's a swirl of conflicting emotions. Anger at Charles's blatant disrespect, combined with a steadfast resolve that she can't let him abuse her staff or tarnish her lounge's reputation. She realizes something: Charles is the perfect test of her vow to maintain dignity and grace, no matter the provocation. She's survived far more than a rude traveler. Still, a part of her contemplates what it would look like to reveal her full authority, and exactly who he's been insulting. The seeds of that revelation are planted, and soon enough they'll bloom into a confrontation Charles will never see coming. Lunchtime in the lounge arrives, and staff members replace the pastries with an array of sandwiches, salads, and fruit bowls. Travelers wander over to the buffet, picking at plates of fresh produce and grilled chicken. Soft music plays low enough not to interrupt phone conversations, but offering a gentle backdrop. Charles is on his second phone call of the hour. As Ebony passes by discreetly, she hears him mention investment returns, hedge funds, and board meetings. She gathers he's a high-level executive or consultant used to throwing around big numbers and big demands. Ebony proceeds to tidy up the lounge's seating area, collecting empty cups and used napkins. Despite his scornful manner, she's determined to maintain her usual professional standard. Out of nowhere, a frantic beep from the loudspeaker interrupts the lounge's calm. Attention passengers of Flight 412 to Dubai on Emirates Airlines. Please be advised there is a 2-hour delay due to mechanical checks. We apologize for any inconvenience. Charles snaps his head up at the announcement. You've got to be kidding me, he mutters. He stalks toward the lounge's main desk. Alicia is there, tapping on the computer. Before she can greet him, he demands, Is the flight to Dubai really delayed? Alicia checks her screen. Yes, sir, it appears so. The airline just posted a 2-hour delay notice. Charles smacks his hand on the desk, not with full force, but loudly enough to make Alicia recoil slightly. Unbelievable, he spits out. I have a crucial meeting. I can't afford a delay. He glares at Alicia as though she's personally responsible for the aircraft's mechanical issues. Alicia recovers her composure. I understand, sir. Mechanical checks are for passenger safety. Unfortunately, there's not much we can. He slams his hand again, cutting her off. Don't you lecture me about safety. I've flown more miles than you've probably driven in your lifetime. I know all about how airlines operate. Alicia is about to respond when Ebony steps forward, her presence calm but resolute. She had been in earshot, ready to intervene. Sir, please, our staff isn't responsible for flight delays. We're here to make your wait as comfortable as possible. Charles whirls to face Ebony, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Oh, look, the cleaning lady again. Didn't I ask you to keep a distance? Or are you suddenly the spokesperson for this place? Alicia flushes with anger, but Ebony responds smoothly. I'm part of the staff, sir, and I want to ensure you have a pleasant stay, despite the delay. She doesn't raise her voice, but there's a firmness that makes Charles blink in surprise. If you'd like, we can help you contact the airline desk to see if any alternative flights are available. He exhales loudly, trying to rein in his temper. Fine, he says tersely. Check alternative routes. I need to arrive in Dubai by tomorrow morning, one way or another. Alicia nods and starts typing. Ebony stands by her side, offering moral support. She can practically feel Charles's eyes boring into her. She wonders if he senses that she's no ordinary staff member. Regardless, she keeps her composure. After a few minutes, Alicia shakes her head. I'm sorry, sir. The only other direct flights to Dubai are fully booked. There's an option to connect in Frankfurt, but that would still get you there only a few hours earlier than if you wait for this plane. Charles growls in frustration, stepping away from the desk. Useless, he mutters under his breath. He stomps back to his seat, where he sinks into an armchair, as though the world has conspired against him. Ebony and Alicia exchange glances. Alicia whispers, Thank you for stepping in. Ebony offers a small nod. No one should be spoken to like that. Let me know if you need me again. The rest of the lounge hums with subdued activity, oblivious to Charles's personal meltdown. Several travelers chat amiably, while others read or watch news on muted TV monitors. Ebony retrieves her cleaning cart, making subtle rounds again. As she passes near Charles, she senses the waves of anger emanating off him. Suddenly his phone rings. He picks up, bellowing, Yes, I need you to shift the meeting. No, I don't care about their schedule. They can wait or reschedule. This is a multi-million-dollar negotiation. They need me, not the other way around. He ends the call abruptly, tossing his phone onto the table with a loud clatter. He notices Ebony in his peripheral vision. Something about her silent presence, calm, yet unwavering, triggers him again. "Are you just going to stand there staring?" he snaps. Ebony's expression doesn't falter. "I was checking to see if you needed anything, sir," she says evenly. "Would you like a refill on your drink or anything from the buffet?" He scoffs. "You really don't give up, do you? It's like you're trying to appear helpful, but all you people are doing is standing around while I deal with my flight issues." Ebony meets his gaze. "We understand your frustration, sir. We're here if you need assistance." Before he can respond with another biting remark, she walks away, leaving him with the stinging realization that his insults haven't provoked the reaction he wants. She's unshakable, and it rattles him more than he cares to admit. As the delayed hours tick by, Charles's tantrums become more sporadic, but no less nasty. He complains about the lounge's music selection, the temperature of the air conditioning, the quality of the free snacks. Ebony occasionally fields his remarks with composure, while Alicia and Haruto do their best to keep the peace. Other passengers in the lounge either pretend not to hear or exchange awkward glances among themselves. Throughout the day, Ebony receives updates from her team across various Maravilla Lounge locations. She uses a staff-only computer terminal in a back office to answer emails about stock inventory staff schedules and upcoming renovation plans. Her phone pings with texts from her executive assistant, updating her on the planned expansions in Europe. Between these tasks, she steps back into the lounge to keep tabs on the day-to-day operations. In a quieter moment, Ebony slips into a small meeting room behind the lounge's main desk. The room doubles as a staff lounge and manager's office. She retrieves a thick binder filled with documents. Opening it, she scans financial statements, expansions budgets, and staff improvement programs. Her eyes linger on the page that outlines the company's training modules, specifically the module about handling abusive customers with grace and professionalism. She recalls her own earlier days, when she was simply an employee, cleaning lounges she had run-ins with rude travelers. At that time, she had to swallow her pride nod politely and take the high road. Now she's the owner and CEO, yet she chooses to remain approachable. Today's events with Charles Harrington prove that no matter how far she's come, the battle against prejudice and entitlement never really ends. She closes the binder, glancing at the clock on the wall. Flight 412 is still delayed by another hour. Sighing, Ebony decides it's time to return to the lounge floor. Out in the main area, Charles stands at the giant windows, watching planes take off in the distance. From his posture, hands in his pockets, shoulders tense, it's clear his frustration is peaking again. Ebony approaches, leaving a polite gap between them. "Sir," she says gently, "I just wanted to inform you that there's a possibility the flight will be delayed further. The airline hasn't confirmed, but Charles spins eyes flashing. Oh, I already heard from the gate. They said another mechanical issue came up. I can't believe how incompetent these people are." His voice quivers with anger. Then his tone hardens, uncomfortably cool. "You know, for a lounge that claims to be 5-star, you're not very good at alleviating stress." Ebony remains composed. "I understand the situation is stressful. If there's anything," he cuts her off, "yes, there is something you can do. Keep this place quiet and get out of my face." A few other lounge guests glance over, drawn by the sudden spike in volume. Ebony straightens. "Of course, sir," she says, her voice clipped but polite. She steps back and after a moment walks away. Inside, she feels a swirl of indignation and sadness. His words carry more than annoyance. They reek of dismissive racism, classism, and raw entitlement. Charles resumes his vigil at the window. Ebony crosses the lounge to check on the comfort of other guests who smile gratefully as she offers assistance. One traveler, an older woman with kind eyes, whispers to Ebony, "Don't mind him, dear. Some men are raised thinking the world revolves around them." Ebony gives the woman a small, appreciative smile. "Thank you. We do our best." Quietly, Ebony slinks toward the staff exit, needing a moment to clear her head. In the hallway, she pauses, leaning against a wall and closing her eyes. She's tired of letting Charles verbally walk all over her staff, tired of playing a role, albeit important, for the sake of blending in. She's the one who signs the paychecks, the contracts, the decisions that keep Maravilla Lounge running. Yet she's been forced to endure Charles's blatant disrespect simply because he assumes she's at the bottom of the hierarchy. She knows intellectually that revealing her position could be a dramatic turning point. Yet Ebony also wonders about the best course of action. Exposing him in front of other guests could backfire or cause a scene. Still, the idea of letting him remain ignorant of who she is seems increasingly untenable. Perhaps the time has come to teach him a lesson in humility. An hour later, tensions reach a boiling point. Charles's flight to Dubai gets delayed once again, this time with an additional 3-hour wait. Over the lounge speakers, the announcement feels like a death knell to Charles's patience. He strides to the buffet, slaps a clean plate down, and haphazardly scoops some salad. Frowning, he pushes the plate aside in disgust. "Wilted lettuce," he mutters, as if the entire lounge conspires to offend him. As Ebony finishes wiping down a table near him, he aims his wrath directly at her. "Tell your manager or whoever runs this place that the food quality is unacceptable. I expect fresh, crisp greens, not this soggy excuse for produce." Ebony tries to stay calm. "I'll check on the supply, sir. We do have fresh produce delivered daily. I'm sorry if it's not to your taste." "Soggy lettuce is never to my taste." He snaps, then adds with a mocking sneer, "But what would you know about fine dining?" At that, Ebony sets down her cleaning cloth. Her patience stretches thin. She opens her mouth to respond, but before she can, the glass door of the lounge swings open and 3 well-dressed individuals enter, 2 men and a woman, each wearing name tags and sporting the Maravilla Lounge logo embroidered on their blazers. They're from the corporate team, scheduled to meet Ebony for a quick facility check. Charles glances at them but pays little attention. The corporate team scans the lounge until their eyes land on Ebony. One of the men, a tall figure named Damien, smiles warmly. "Ms. Johnson, we've arrived for the inspection." Charles's expression twists in confusion. "Ms. Johnson." He looks at Ebony, then at Damien, then back again. "You're talking to her. She's just a cleaning lady." Damien stiffens. "The woman from the corporate team?" Clara steps forward, blinking in surprise. "This is Ebony Johnson, the owner and CEO of Maravilla Lounge. She's here on a spot check." It's as if the entire lounge hushes, though the travelers continue their soft chatter. Charles stands rooted to the spot, disbelief and a flicker of panic crossing his features. That can't be right. Ebony exhales, stepping away from her cleaning cart. She offers a polite but firm nod. "It's true, sir. I oversee Maravilla Lounge, including this location." A wave of realization crashes over Charles. The woman he's belittled all day, dismissed as a mere cleaning lady, is actually the big boss. His face pales, cheeks flushing with mortification. He looks around as if searching for a way out. Other guests notice the tension, some stifling, amused smiles. Silence grips the moment. Then Ebony breaks it, addressing both the corporate team and Charles. "Could we speak in a more private area?" She gestures toward a side corridor near the lounge's conference room. Charles, now speechless, stumbles after her, and the corporate team, leaving behind the buffet of wilted lettuce. They enter a small boardroom-like space, and Ebony closes the door behind them. The corporate team and Ebony stand on one side of the table. Charles hovers near the other, looking like a schoolboy called to the principal's office. She fixes him with a steady gaze. "Mr. Harrington," she begins. "I believe that's your name, correct?" He nods, swallowing hard. "Yes, Charles Harrington." Ebony nods. "I'd like to address the manner in which you've been speaking to our staff today. I understand you're upset about the flight delays, but Maravilla Lounge has no control over airline mechanical issues. Yet you've consistently taken your frustration out on us, insulting the employees, me included, and demanding the impossible." Charles attempts to straighten his suit jacket, his arrogance faltering under Ebony's unyielding stare. I didn't know who you were." He finally manages, as if that justifies his behavior. Damien clears his throat. "Regardless of Miss Johnson's position, our staff deserves respect." Ebony continues, "You asked for a standard of service that we strive to deliver, but your approach has been disrespectful and at times discriminatory. Phrases like, 'you people.'" She pauses, letting the words hang in the air, imply a prejudice that we cannot tolerate. Charles's mouth opens as if to protest, but he remains silent. Guilt and anger battle for dominance on his face. Finally, he musters, "I was frustrated. I have a huge business deal waiting in Dubai, and your lounge's noise and slow service were—" There's no excuse, but Ebony cuts in quietly. "You have every right to ask for assistance or even air your grievances, but the manner in which you did so crossed professional lines. If I were merely a staff member, you might have continued berating me." The mention of merely a staff member sets Charles's face aflame. He realizes the depth of his mistake. I'm sorry if I offended you," he offers, weakly eyes shifting away. Ebony stares at him for a moment, letting the apology hang. A part of her wants to lash out, to make him feel the sting of humiliation he inflicted on her and her employees. But another part recognizes that her leadership style is about teaching and elevating, about showing grace, even when it's undeserved. She exhales. "Mr. Harrington, I accept your apology. However, we have a policy here. We reserve the right to ask any guest to leave if they cannot maintain a respectful environment. Under normal circumstances, your behavior would warrant that." His eyes widen in panic. "Please, I need the lounge. I have hours to wait." She raises a hand. "I haven't finished. You've apologized to me, but I want you to also apologize to Alicia and Haruto and everyone else you insulted. If they choose to forgive you, we'll let you stay for the remainder of your wait. If not, we'll have to ask you to leave." The corporate team nods in agreement, arms crossed. It's abundantly clear Ebony has the final say. Charles's shoulders slump. He looks utterly defeated. Yes, I'll do that." It's a humiliating proposition, but he sees no alternative. Being ousted from the lounge would force him into the crowded terminal no better than the rest of the travelers he's spent a lifetime feeling superior to. Ebony glances toward Damien and Clara. "Thank you for being here. Could you wait outside while Mr. Harrington and I finalize this matter? They nod, stepping out with quiet efficiency. Once they're alone, Ebony regards Charles, arms folded. What you did today wasn't just about me. You disrespected everyone who works hard here. The housekeeping staff, the front desk, the servers, everyone. He nods, contrition written on his face. I understand. I'm not used to this kind of situation. I'm normally not like this. Ebony raises an eyebrow. You seemed quite comfortable being like this, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that stress got the better of you. He remains silent, not daring to refute the obvious. Ebony sighs. All right, let's go back out there, and you can make your apologies. After that, you're welcome to stay until your flight. But I suggest you use this time to reflect on how you treat people who in your mind are beneath you. Charles's face flickers with shame. He nods and follows Ebony out of the room. The lounge feels heavier than before. Word has spread that Ebony, the unassuming cleaning lady, is actually the lounge owner. A few staff members watch with discreet curiosity as Ebony and Charles emerge from the corridor. Alicia stands behind the main desk, checking a guest's information while Haruto organizes cups at the coffee station. Charles hesitates near a row of leather chairs, his face etched with an uncharacteristic humility. Ebony waits a few steps behind him, arms at her sides as though ready to intervene if needed. In a voice just loud enough for the staff and some nearby guests to hear, Charles clears his throat. Excuse me, he says, his tone wobbling. I'd like to speak to the staff for a moment. Alicia stops typing. Haruto looks over. Even the older woman who offered Ebony her support earlier leans in to listen. The hush that follows is thick enough to taste. Charles swallows. I want to apologize. I've been rude, disrespectful, and, well, I've acted in a way that doesn't reflect who I want to be. I took out my frustrations about the flight delay on all of you. That wasn't right. He looks at Alicia first. To you, miss, I'm sorry for raising my voice and blaming you for something you had no control over. Alicia, stunned, nods. She can't fully hide her surprise and lingering hurt, but she nods all the same. He turns to Haruto. And to you, sir, for complaining about the tea and implying you were incompetent. You were just doing your job. Haruto offers a polite bow. Apology accepted, sir, he says softly, though his face remains cautious. Charles then scans the room, noticing other staff members who endured his contempt. They stand in small clusters watching. All of you, I sincerely regret my behavior. The words sound foreign on his tongue, but he forces them out. I hope you can forgive me, and I promise to show more respect here and elsewhere. A few employees exchange glances. Some nod. The older woman traveler offers a knowing smile, as if quietly applauding Ebony's method of schooling him. Alicia steps forward and murmurs, "Thank you, Mr. Harrington. I accept your apology." A mild tension dissipates, replaced by a cautious sense of relief. Ebony steps beside Charles, arms folded, face unreadable. Then she addresses her staff. "Thank you all for listening. We value every one of you." She turns to Charles. "We appreciate that you've taken responsibility for your actions. You're welcome to stay and enjoy the lounge until your flight departs, as long as we maintain respect for one another." Charles exhales, shoulders sagging. "Thank you." With that, the staff resumes their tasks, though the atmosphere is undeniably changed, like a wound that's been cleaned but not yet fully healed. Charles shuffles to a corner seat, away from the buffet and the windows. He picks up a magazine, trying to lose himself in its pages. The ghost of his own arrogance seems to loom over him. Ebony watches him for a moment, then reclaims her cleaning cart. Despite everything, she's got a business to run, and her employees are counting on her. She returns to her rounds, double-checking that the counters are spotless and the snack bar remains replenished. A short time later, Damien and Clara approach Ebony in a quiet corner. Damien speaks first, voice low. "I think you handled that really well." Clara nods. "Absolutely. It was a tough situation, but your approach was fair. And we learned a lot, seeing how you manage adversity in real time." Ebony offers them both a small, grateful smile. "Thank you. This is the culture we want at Maravilla, right? Inclusive, respectful, but also firm about what we stand for." Damien and Clara exchange glances of admiration. "Exactly," Clara says. "You're an inspiration, Ebony." Ebony glances again at Charles, who sits alone, flipping absent-mindedly through the magazine pages. Part of her empathizes with his disappointment. She knows how it feels to be desperate, though in her case it was out of necessity, to make ends meet, not about million-dollar deals. Another part of her hopes this will be a wake-up call for him. Only time will tell if he's truly learned anything from the day's events. The lounge grows quieter as the evening nears. Some passengers whose flights depart on schedule bid farewell to the staff and thank them for the service. Others nestle deeper into the armchairs, preparing for a long wait through the delayed hours. Charles, subdued, remains glued to his seat, scanning his phone for updates or possibly reading emails. Every so often he throws a quick, surreptitious glance at Ebony, who continues her rounds with the kind of confident poise he's never associated with a cleaning lady. He feels an internal conflict, part shame, part resentment, part grudging admiration. Finally, the flight board shows an update for Emirates Flight 412. Departing in 45 minutes. A wave of relief visibly washes over Charles. He gathers his briefcase stands and straightens his suit jacket. He eyes the front desk where Alicia is helping a family check in for lounge access. Once she's free, he approaches. "I just wanted to ask," he begins quietly, "if you could let me know when boarding starts." Alicia's earlier wariness softens. "Of course, Mr. Harrington. We'll make an announcement in the lounge as soon as the gate opens for boarding." He nods awkwardly, pausing as if unsure whether to say anything else. Then, as though summoning courage, he adds, "I really am sorry." Alicia offers a polite smile. Apology accepted. He turns to walk toward the exit, but nearly collides with Ebony, who's just stepped up behind him. She steps back, giving him room. "Sorry," she says automatically, then regards him with calm eyes. "You heading to your flight?" He nods, clearing his throat. "Yes." Thank you for letting me stay." She gives a mild shrug. "We wouldn't gain anything by throwing you out. I'm glad you took responsibility for your words." He hesitates, glancing down at his shoes. "I suppose you know everything about me now? How awful I can be when I'm stressed." Ebony purses her lips. "I know a little bit about how you behave under pressure, yes." She decides to offer a small olive branch. "Everyone has bad days, Mr. Harrington. It's what we learn from them that matters." He raises his eyes to meet hers, genuinely moved by her grace. "Thank you," he repeats softly. Then with a nod, he slips out of the lounge and heads toward the gate. Ebony watches him leave, feeling a curious sense of completion. The lounge staff collectively exhales. The man who had brought such tension to their day is finally gone. Yet Ebony suspects the story doesn't quite end here. Life has a way of weaving unexpected epilogues. Sure enough, about 10 minutes later, Haruto comes rushing to Ebony, holding a small black wallet. Ms. Johnson. We found this under the chair Mr. Harrington was sitting in. Ebony opens the wallet carefully. Inside are several credit cards, an ID, and a thick wad of business cards. She checks the ID Charles Harrington. A wave of pity flutters through her. If he reaches the gate without his wallet, he'll be in a world of trouble. She quickly calls Alicia over. Could you see if we can get a message to the gate? He's probably in the waiting area for flight 412. Alicia nods and dials the gate's number. After a brief conversation, she hangs up. They said he hasn't arrived yet, but they'll be on the lookout. Ebony inspects the ID once more. I'll go find him myself, she decides. In truth, she wants to hand it to him personally, maybe, as a final note of closure. She steps out of the lounge, crossing the terminal, with purposeful strides, the wallet clutched safely in her hand. The bustle of travelers intensifies as she approaches Gate A12, where Flight 412 to Dubai is scheduled. Lines have formed, passengers queue to board. Ebony spots Charles near the back of the queue, rummaging through his carry-on, panic etched on his face. He's searching desperately through pockets and compartments, even turning his briefcase upside down. Ebony approaches quietly. When he sees her, he appears startled. What are you doing here? She holds up the wallet. You left this in the lounge. Relief floods his face. He reaches out to take it, and Ebony hands it over. The sudden rush of gratitude is almost palpable. Thank you. He breathes, flipping it open to check the contents. Everything is intact. I would have been in big trouble without it. His eyes flick to the boarding gate. I can't believe I almost lost it. Ebony shrugs lightly. We all lose things sometimes. The staff found it under the seat. He places a hand over his heart, humility saturating his voice. Well, thank you, Ms. Johnson. Again. Ebony nods. Safe travels, Mr. Harrington. I hope your business in Dubai works out. He stands awkwardly for a moment, and then, in a gesture that seems out of character for him, extends his hand. Thank you. I hope I can do better next time. Ebony gazes at his hand, then clasps it firmly. I think you will. She offers a warm half-smile, then turns to walk away, leaving him to rejoin the queue. Behind her, Charles Harrington stands still, wallet in hand, absorbing the weight of everything that's happened that day. When he finally boards his flight, he carries more than just his luggage. He carries the seed of a lesson, one that might just reshape his worldview forever. Back in the Maravilla Lounge, night settles in. The overhead lights cast a soft, inviting glow on the furniture. Ebony returns, a sense of peace tingling through her. Damien Clara. Alicia Haruto and some of the other staff remain winding down the day's shift. Tomorrow, a new staff will come in to handle the morning rush. As Ebony steps inside, Alicia greets her with a smile. Did you catch him? Ebony nods. He was at the gate tearing his bag apart, looking for that wallet. Needless to say, he was relieved. Alicia chuckles lightly. I can imagine. Damien approaches wearing a curious expression. We're about to head out, Ms. Johnson. Is there anything else you need from us tonight? Ebony thinks for a moment, then shakes her head. No, you two can go. We'll schedule a meeting next week to debrief this visit and discuss expansion. Thank you for your help today. Clara gives Ebony a brief hug. Thanks for everything. You never fail to inspire us. With a quick goodbye to the staff, Damien and Clara depart. Ebony sees them off, then returns to the lounge area. She notices Alicia and Haruto finishing some administrative tasks at the front desk. From the other side of the room, Ebony calls out softly, "Alicia Haruto, why don't you two head home as well? It's been a long day." Alicia furrows her brow. "You sure? We can help close up?" Ebony insists, "I'm sure. Take the night off. You've both earned it." She sends them a grateful smile. "I'll finish up here." They exchange relieved looks and nod. Haruto says, "Thank you, Ms. Johnson," while Alicia steps forward and hugs Ebony gently. "I'm really proud to work here," she whispers, emotion in her voice. Ebony hugs her back. "We're a family," she says, letting Alicia go with a smile. Gradually, the lounge empties until only Ebony remains. She walks through the space, checking the lights, tidying up stray brochures, tossing out any last-minute trash. In one corner, she sees the same chair Charles Harrington had occupied most of the day. She thinks about how he changed from an arrogant, abrasive figure to someone who at least tried to apologize and make amends. Ebony can't help but reflect on her own journey from being ignored as a low-wage worker to owning a thriving business. She wonders if 10 years ago she would have confronted Charles the same way. Probably not, she muses. Time and experience have taught her that real power lies not in controlling or belittling others, but in lifting them up and, when necessary, holding them accountable. One last look around, and Ebony is satisfied that the lounge is in good shape for the overnight cleaners. She takes her jacket from a hook in the staff area, turning off the remaining lights. As she walks out, her steps echo in the darkened terminal. She looks up at the giant window facing the runways. Several planes are taking off under the moonlit sky. One of them might even be Charles's flight to Dubai, ferrying him across continents. She whispers to herself, "Safe travels." Everyone, her voice echoing softly in the empty corridor. The terminal's hum is quieter now, shops and eateries closing. Ebony heads toward the parking lot, her mind a swirl of exhaustion and triumph. Tomorrow she'll be back in her main office, finalizing deals and planning expansions. But for now, she's content. She's done what she set out to do today, to ensure that the spirit of Maravilla Lounge, respect, service, and dignity remains unbroken, even under fire. Today's unfolding at the Maravilla Lounge reminds us that appearances can be deceiving, and that kindness isn't just about how we treat those in authority, but how we treat those we assume to be beneath us. Charles Harrington walked in believing he ruled the world, only to discover his targets of scorn had far greater standing and grace than he ever imagined. Ebony Johnson, the lounge's unassuming cleaning lady, showed that true leadership is rooted in empathy and accountability. In the end, Charles's pride shattered, and he learned a lesson he'll carry for a lifetime. If this story moved you or taught you something, don't let it end here. Like, share and subscribe to support more stories that shed light on respect, resilience, and transformation. Let's keep spreading the message that every person, regardless of title or uniform, deserves dignity. Your engagement helps us reach more people and spark more positive change.